Hey, extremely tired. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies. And today I'm going to be doing a movie roundup video where I talk about the movies, TV shows, and animes I watched in the last month or so. So yeah, I have been extremely busy. I've been extremely tired ever since I've come back to Los Angeles since my Seattle trip. I did nothing for a week, and then I did everything else. I went to school. I started my third semester at USC. I met a lot of people. I have a lot on my plate. I am doing this and doing a little bit of that, and I'm doing a little bit of more of this, and I'm doing a little bit more of that, and too much is going on, and I don't have a lot of time to watch films anymore. But even so, I still somehow managed to watch shit tons of films. So starting off at the very end of 2024 in late December, before I left for Seattle, I watched Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver by Zack Snyder. Yeah, late last year I watched it in order to finish up my worst movies of the year list. And as expected, this movie is boring, lifeless, cliche. It's interesting because I see a lot of similarities between this film and Seven Samurai, but even though Seven Samurai is a masterpiece and this film is clearly not, it's like Seven Samurai but without any interesting characters or tension or anything. 3 out of 10. Then, the last film I watched in 2024 is called The Last Dance, and it is a Hong Kong film, and I watched it at a theater with a friend in Monterey Park, AMC. Now, this is a moving family drama with a cathartic ending, but I think Dio Wong's performance just didn't really click with me. Meanwhile, Michael He did an amazing job playing his character. Even so, there are lots of cliches and conventional moments that just isn't that groundbreaking. It's just not as groundbreaking as people set it out to be. 7 out of 10. Then the last thing I watched in 2024 is Zoku Owari Monogatari, and I finally finished this anime, and what a fucking beautiful way to end off the Monogatari series. That is of course before we get into Often Monster season. But this is essentially an introspective recap of all the characters and an accumulation of everything that happened before. And it is also an exploration of Araragi's persona. It's really clever, it's just so goddamn beautiful. 9 out of 10. Then 2025 happened, and I am still stuck at Seattle. And the only interesting thing that happened to me is that I went to YouTube and watched Daisies, which is a Czech film released in the 1960s. It is a very groundbreaking film where it is basically Riot Girl. It is basically girls rebelling against the society. And yeah, my initial thought on this film is that it feels like Pierre Le Fou meets the Eric Andre show and How to Basic. But it just, for some reason, didn't live up to its craziness. I mean, yeah, it is very crazy on a surface level, but a lot of the craziness to me just feels like random quirky LOL XD. The two main characters, both called Marie, talk very passive-aggressively, and sometimes even annoying, but that said though, the food fight scene is amazing, and the editing, I have to admit it's really ahead of its time. 7 out of 10. So, I return to the land of Los Angeles and the suffering continues. But before the suffering continues, I invited my friend over to my place to watch some movies and play his DVDs on my Blu-ray player. And he played a DVD of Full Metal Alchemist the movie, Conqueror of Shambhala. Yeah, so the thing is, this is actually a sequel, a movie sequel to the original 2003 Full Metal Alchemist series, which I have watched, but it's so many years ago that I forgot most of what happened, so I didn't really ask to watch this. But my friend, he made me watch the whole thing anyways, and I would feel bad if I had to stop this movie halfway. But it is a pleasant surprise, because this film is actually pretty cleverly written. It's using World War II and Nazism as a plot device the same way Indiana Jones used it, and the film is also bittersweet and hopeful at the end. There's awful CGI, but to balance that out we have anime Fritz Lang, so I'm not complaining. 7 out of 10. Then, I watched Joker Folie à Deux, and it's pretty mid. It's not one of the worst movies ever, but it is underwhelming. It doesn't commit as a sequel, it doesn't commit as a character study, and it doesn't commit as a musical. It's just nondescript nothing. 5 out of 10. Then I watched Mon Oncle by Jacques Tati. Yeah, I'm watching this in order to expand my French cinema horizons. There isn't a lot of plot in this movie because it's a slapstick comedy, but the production design is delicious, and I love that they use comedy by way of set design. I love how silly and lighthearted it is, and maybe a rewatch on a big screen will make me like it even more. For now, I'm giving it a light 9 out of 10. Following that, I watched Conclave, and it's just okay. It's far from being the best film of the year because the story is really formulaic, the music is annoying, and the film is too dramatic for its own good. But I like seeing popes gossip, or cardinals gossip, and it's still a really fun premise, I have to admit. 7 out of 10. Then I took a leap of faith, I took a deep plunge, I took a deep dive, and watched Emilia Perez, and it is mid-garbage. The songs are terrible, the trans representation is lackluster, and the representation of Mexico is god-awful. The only reason why I'm not giving this the worst score possible is because of how ambitious the premise is, and you know what? I love a good, ambitious premise. But aside from that, this is mid-garbage, 5 out of 10. Following that, I watched Eraserhead. It's actually a rewatch because a few days later, Inland Empire would be screened. And little did I know that the next day after watching Eraserhead, David Lynch passed away. But yeah, Eraserhead, I loved it a lot more on a rewatch. The sound design and the cinematography really spoke to me. There's also a surreal sense of humor that a lot of people just didn't get because this just looks so strange on the surface. But I just love that David Lynch went to Philadelphia, thought it's shit, and decided to make this. It's kind of similar to how I'm thinking of Los Angeles, really. Maybe I should make my own Eraserhead. Who knows? 9 out of 10. Then I rewatched Everything Everywhere All at Once, the first half of the film anyways, for my film class, and it is just as good as I have remembered it. It's so chaotic and confusing, and it's okay, because life is chaotic and confusing. 10 out of 10. Following that, I watched The Grandmaster, and I watched it on my Blu-ray player. After this film, I only have one more film to go before finishing Wong Kar-wai's filmography. This is easily his most commercial film since As Tears Go By. It's loud and brash and straightforward, which took some getting used to, but the film is also surprisingly personal, as it is also about Chinese immigrants going to Hong Kong. It is beautifully shot and edited, and I'm giving this one a strong 8 out of 10. Then, at the Egyptian Theater, I watched Inland Empire by David Lynch, and it is a straight masterpiece. I loved every moment of it. This is one of the few films that I can confidently call dark. It's like mortifyingly dark, haunting, disturbing even. The whole movie makes zero sense, and the whole film feels like opening a portal to hell. I left a really long review on my Letterboxd and on my YouTube channel as well, so please go check that one out. It's too much to unfold, too much to unpack, but Inland Empire, it's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Then immediately the next day, I and my friend went to AMC The Grove to watch Nosferatu by Robert Eggers. And it's alright. Like, this might be Robert Eggers' worst film to date. It's still really good, don't get me wrong. I love the production design, the cinematography is amazing, but I just never really cared for the characters. And the whole movie is just not as playful as I hoped it would be. 7 out of 10. Then I finally finished watching Dungeon Meshi, and honestly, the first half kind of bored me, but the second half kind of saved it. Also, watching this anime took me a bajillion years. Like, I kept watching one episode and then falling asleep, and then watching another episode 2 days later, and then not having time again. But yeah, anyways, I finally finished it after months of watching this shit. And I love that there are lots of creative cooking scenes and world building, lots of likable characters as well. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Then I watched The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice by Ozu Yasujiro. And I was kind of scared going in because I am not sure if I'll fall in love with an Ozu film or not, because his films are so minimalist. But I love the way Ozu explores marriages in this film. It's fascinating, and how he uses marriages and relationships to reflect society. There are also a lot of dolly shots, which surprised me given how static a lot of Ozu shots are. 8 out of 10. Okay, I watched The Fly a couple of days ago, and I am on my David Cronenberg binge before The Shroud comes out. It is an amazing skin-tight body horror film without a slick of cliche or cringe. Cronenberg uses body horror as an allegory for a toxic relationship, or just a relationship that wouldn't work out because of scientific obsession. I love how the grossness escalates exponentially, and the special effects are crazy. Finally, I finished watching Dandadan, and yeah, this is very much a shut your brain off, ultra fast-paced seinen high school rom-com anime. Maybe it's a bit too fast-paced and too simple at the same time, but there's a lot of charm to its wackiness, and Sakura Ayane is in it, so I automatically like this anime. It's a lot of fun, and the animation is fucking gorgeous, especially episode 7. Episode 7 pretty much floored me, 8 out of 10. So yeah, these are the movies and animes I watched in the last month. So how about you? Comments will let me know if you want more. Thanks for watching. I have a Zoom meeting right now. Bye bye.